Hello, hello, hello. So, welcome back. I guess that I clicked the button a little too late and I missed my intro, so I wanted to get my 3 hellos out there. We are so close to the game being out, and I just want to say that I hope you enjoy this. We will be breaking down the intro today, and the intro as in the tutorial. Then we're going to break down tomorrow. Then we're going to break down Neil's battle, and by then, I mean, my goodness, we're going to have the game in our hands. So let me go ahead and get you started on the footage, and I'll see you guys in the next video. We're actually starting right in the game, so you can see that this is the tutorial section, and Hideo even talks about the fact that this is going straight into the game. This goes from an animatic or a cinematic basically into gameplay, which is really crazy because you almost can't tell a difference. That's how amazing the Decimate engine is right now. The last video, I figured out that we did have a little bit of an issue with the audio. You couldn't really hear the trailer in the background, but because this is more of a podcast style video, it didn't really matter that much. We will attempt to fix that a little bit today, but if you notice that the audio is very quiet for the trailer, don't worry about it. We're mostly just talking about the things that we notice.
Border of Mexico and UCA. So it's 11 months after the ending of DS1. So you see Sam here, and he's just living on himself, delivering. And Lou, 11 months old, is actually delivering with Sam.
So love this. I love that we're hearing the music in the background. It's building. Obviously, it's a little cheapened by the fact that they're talking over it, but I think that's fine because I think really they're wanting to show us things without ruining the moments for us. So this is something that when we live it ourselves, I think it's going to be just incredible. I want to go back just a little bit. The crazy thing about these previews are the quality of the previews has increased so much from some of the trailers. When we first got this scene, you really couldn't tell like what was on his backpack. We were not this zoomed in. We can see so much more of the textures and what's going on now. We can see that this backpack is obviously like an APAC backpack. We can see a little bit more of the fonts, text, and I think it's kind of fun. Code 32 use only. I mean, we're getting a lot more of those in-game details and textures. If you've ever messed around with photo mode in Death Stranding 1, the amount of detail that they put into just boring everyday objects is absolutely insane. So it is nice to be able to see that same amount of care is going into this. There's nothing that we haven't already seen on this, at least, so we'll go ahead and we'll continue.
And UCA. So it's 11 months after the ending of DS1.
The textures even on his porter outfit are incredible. Of course, he's got the really awesome jacket, which I'm so excited for. I'm actually really bummed that it sounds like that won't be an option to wear in game. I would absolutely give up spots, just like with the skeletons for cargo, if it meant that I could have this cool jacket. We also get our first look at Lou, and since they have really finalized everything, a lot of people have talked about how different it looks from the first trailer where we saw Higgs and the mask versus now. I mean, the textures are so, I'm not even sure what to call it. In the first trailers that we saw, they were so matte, and now things are shiny. They've really solidified the models. Everything seems very final. Lou even looks different here than she did in the original trailers that were released where we were seeing her. Her model is so high definition. It's just crazy. Even the damage on her hood from like probably deterioration from timefall is so just well crafted. I mean, it really looks like they've been out, they've been working, they've been in the elements. So I love that. Of course, we have Sam. Even of course, he had details in the last game, but I feel like Hideo is judging me over here. But look at the eyelashes. I mean, just the individual hairs, they look so much more realistic. The Decima engine is just incredible. So I'm so pleased to see just how nice everything looks.
So this is a tutorial stage. So I want people to learn.
If you hear jingling in the background, my cat has arrived to the room. We can again see the Porter outfit. If you've not watched some of my earlier trailer breakdowns, this is the original Porter outfit from Death Stranding 1 that he has seen wearing in the intro. So this is his old gear. The numbers and everything match up. I don't know if this jacket's supposed to be considered old gear, but the Porter outfit is his original one before he joins and takes on like the mission from with the corpse with Igor and Victor in Death Stranding 1.
The camera controls or the basic controls, the basic ones. So this is already in the game.
I just think that the amount that we can see is really incredible. People have talked about this already, but you can't see this far in Death Stranding 1. Everything gets really foggy, gets really faded. Even from the weather station to like South Knot Distro Center, you can hardly see the building because it's basically just faded out. They don't let you see that far. Here, it feels like we can see to, the next continent. And over here, it almost looks like water. So I'm like, is that the ocean? Is that kind of like a big lake area? I'm not sure. I did notice over here, though, that you can actually see a distro. And I didn't notice that before. So I do wonder, is this the very first Mexico distro or the one that we saw in one of the trailers where he's riding in the gameplay previews on a trike and we pass it? We haven't really determined what this one is. Of course, we have the city here too, which is what I first assumed would be the town with the like Mexican grill. But now I'm not sure that might not be a mining town.
And okay, we're gonna change the camera a little bit.
Okay.
Open world. And we could maybe zoom it. Yep. So this is the real first part, the tutorial.
Now, I was noticing over here to the right, there already appears to be a void out. So I am curious if we will get any lore for that, or if that is just like a area that we're probably going to have to go and procure items from. It's probably going to be a dangerous area, kind of like in Death Stranding 1 when you go to the ruined Knot City to get things for the craftsmen. But definitely you can tell over here there is a massive void out crater.
Alright, let's change the camera here.
Now I did notice on this menu, I just wanted to double check the menu. I think it's neat that we have these new loading text because initially I didn't know what to make of that. We see it on a lot of packages, we see it on Higgs' outfit, but now we just know that that's sort of the loading text screen, and then it turns into text after a moment. Over here though, we can see we have like a stamina, of course, and our blood and everything, but the menu, zoom in, soothe Lou, hide menu, jump to marker. So that's kind of fun, and I love that we got to see the soothing Lou action. So let's continue on.
And that's the goal. It's Sam's hideout. So the first mission is to go back to your hideout. That's a simple mission, yeah. So it's an open world game, so you could go anywhere. And I want people to, learn the controls. You could go anywhere. So let's...
Speaking of going anywhere, I don't know about anyone else, but my gut instinct is to turn around and I want to know what's behind me. I want to go the other direction, which is what I do in every game. I'll always go the opposite of what they want. But I'm just so curious, what's behind me? Why haven't we seen that direction? What could be back there? Are there walls that we can hit in this open world? Zelda, you get like a static barrier wall. You can't go past certain areas. In Death Stranding 1, I try to reach the edge of the map, but really the only edge of the map is typically like a large water. Sometimes there are cliffs that you can't make it over, or what looks to be void out or destroyed city landscapes and like barriers that you can't get through. I definitely tried to climb over some of the destroyed city areas to see if I could get over the walls, but obviously you can't. So it is curious, will this whole area just kind of be like an island if you take it as far as you can go to the edge of the map? I hope that there will be people that do that. I don't think I'll do it on my first playthrough, but that's something I definitely want to search for.
Move on. So listen carefully here. When you run, you hear the drum rolls, right? You stop. No drums. So the music arrangement changes. It's a Yoan's Woodkid song, but it will change according to players' actions. So even it also changes according to which route you take. So he's on top of the hill, you hear the melody, you have the rhythm coming in, and then, okay, let's go sidetrack a little bit. So the rhythm and the melody goes away.
This I think is so cool because the fact that the melody will stay with you basically, or it will lighten but not completely go away. I absolutely love the idea of having background music. The only thing I'm worried about is how will that affect streaming, because that's a huge thing. If people do enjoy streaming games, are we going to have so much music that we're unable to stream or monetize, and will it be something that kind of affects us in that way? Because I think as a player, that's amazing. That's so cool and just enticing to have the music on and be able to listen to like the MP3 player they're talking about. And even like this background music, a lot of people work hard to find those segments in Death Stranding 1 where you will have that music kind of come on and you're like, yes, that's awesome. So it'll be interesting to see how much of this has background music and how much of it is procedural, because they've talked a lot about Woodkid making multiple versions of songs so that it will change according to how you are acting in the game.
You're gonna slowly start to hear the strings and the piano. So this is the same song, but the soundtrack will differ according to how you play, to each player. So, yes, so I have to say thank you, Woodkid, because this was such a difficult job.
I think another option that's really cool is that, or not option, but like opportunity, is someone like me who does like to experiment and go off grid. It's nice that there was going to be a way to like audibly find your way back. So if I go off, let's say backwards away from the destination they want me to go to, there will be at some point the music going away, which basically tells me, oh, I'm going the wrong way. So when I do decide to come back towards the actual destination, hearing the music increase in loudness and be more clear is going to be an awesome way to know, like, oh, I'm going the right way, rather than having to constantly stop and check your map or things like that. I think it will be more immersive.
It's almost like auto play, right? Auto music. Wow. So
I'm so excited. We get a great look at the chiral spiders, which so excited about. I think that is so interesting and neat. I may have talked about this a little in one of my other videos. It's all starting to run together now. We've had so many things come out. But I just think that the addition of these creatures in any way, kangaroos, spiders, whatever, it's going to make the world look so much better. And just more immersive. And the first thing I want to do after I look behind me is go take some photos of these spiders because they look so neat. And it's funny, I mean, we're not even in Australia yet, but that's always what I thought would be in Australia, would be like big spiders. So it's kind of funny that they're here in Mexico. And also, will we get lore behind why there are chiral creatures in Mexico, but we never saw them in the UCA?
Could go anywhere here. Oh, there's a chiral creatures. But we could go into them, but let's avoid them for now. They won't attack you unless you attack them, so you could just move away using the sensors. It's the same. The red places are slippery areas. So you could climb quite steep hills. You don't have so much equipment at this stage, but you could still go. All right, let's go back top on the mountains, and you'll hear the rhythm and the melody coming back in, the chorus.
I love that we're going to get probably real-time credits as we walk up, which we kind of got that in Death Stranding 1 now. It's been a while since I've played the prologue, but I do kind of remember, you had the initial introduction, and then I do feel like we did get some, captions like this for credits as we were doing kind of that initial walkthrough.
Credits. And also, let's move on. And the camera changes at, sometimes. I call it like the Peter Jackson camera.
Now, something that my husband brought up that I hadn't really thought about is this is basically the Red Dead Redemption camera. You can absolutely do cinematics in that game, and it sort of was one of the forerunners of virtual photography, and kind of having that cinematic awesomeness that kind of immerses you in the game. And he does talk about in a minute that, you do have to do a little bit of controlling the character so that you don't fall off the edge, which is the first thing that I want someone to do. What happens when you fall? Do you have a baby doll in your mouth? Does Lou, is she still able to repatriate with you? So curious. But I think this is awesome. And the fact that we can do aerial shots now, I mean, virtual photography is about to just level up, especially with this Decima engine. I just can't even imagine how great things are going to look.
And if you don't like this, you could hit the button and the camera will switch back. And I also, when it's during this camera, you won't fall. So I kind of, programmed that you won't fall, but you need to balance. It's not as easy as you see. And you could go anywhere, right? And you have to kind of learn the balancing so you won't fall. You don't want to fall.
Now, I appreciate that he, basically says, I did make it so you won't fall, but you still have to balance. Thank you, Hideo, because that was my first thought. My first fear was, I'm going to fall off the mountain. There's no way.
And also this time, the map changes real time because you have natural disasters like earthquakes, floods, forest fires. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the earthquake. Yeah,
I thought it was interesting on the left it says potential gatequake detected. I do wonder what is telling us that. What are we wearing at this moment? We don't have a ring on, or we shouldn't have the ring on. We shouldn't have a ring terminal yet. So do we have some sort of old porter gear that we're wearing, or did APAS give us something to sense those things? We do, I guess, still have an Odra deck, maybe. That's something I actually didn't even look for. I think we do. So it's does that old tech work? I've always thought he would get rid of that because maybe bridges might track him, but I guess they could only track the handcuffs.
Small one coming. And this is a small one to predict a bigger one, but you need to keep.
So we now know that there are small earthquakes. So this says measuring a 4 on the G scale, which is fun. I don't know if G scale is something that is in, well, actually, yeah. Is it always called a G scale? I don't actually know. We don't really have earthquakes around here. We have tornadoes, and they're on, F scale, so I don't really know. But I did notice there were some birds over to the right. I think they're birds, not bats. So that's, again, another creature or animal that we didn't typically... I don't think we saw them at all, except for in the intro of Death Stranding 1.
Balance not to fall off. All right, let's go a little further. But then a big one's going to come. You have to really stand still and balance, otherwise you fall.
I wonder how many of us are going to eat crap right here. Just fall, die, roll down the mountain. And I've been thinking, how does that affect Lou? Can Lou die in the intro? Can she be bruised? Will she be hurt? I mean, falling from these heights seems really dangerous, and so I have a lot of fears about that.
Now you could imagine if this was a snowy mountains, you get like avalanches. So, as you can see,
so that one was a 7. So it's interesting. 4s and 7s are quite different. I wonder, will we get up to a 10? Will we see anything like that? I also think it's really interesting that he's added in these natural disasters. That adds such a cool layer that we just didn't have in Death Stranding 1. Which, I don't necessarily think we needed it in Death Stranding 1, but it's going to be cool. So I'm excited for that. So far, I've not seen anything in the background or anything that is new to us that maybe we haven't seen before. So we're going to keep moving forward.
Map changed. Now you can't go there anymore. And Lou is starting to cry because was scared. So let's soothe Lou. Okay, let's see the movement of the controller here, as you can see.
And this is the part where I think I'm going to take so many photos and really take this portion slow, the tutorial portion, because so far we know that we have this portion and a small portion when we get to the actual bunker where maybe we cook for Lou. And I think, obviously we're going to meet Fragile a little bit. And then we won't have Lou anymore. Obviously the point of the game from the trailer, we know that Lou goes away. We don't have her strapped to us after a certain point. So I definitely want to get as many of those sweet photos as I can, because once you're in the game, I feel like you won't have those opportunities anymore.
You could soothe Lou, or you could close up. You could see the close up of Lou's face and we'll stop crying, but okay, we're soothing. Okay, Lou is now happy.
Oh my goodness.
Smiling. All right, let's put it back.
I'm noticing a little bit of, I see the moon up there. The moon looks very normal here. So that is something to note. Obviously, we've seen the moon so many times and it has not been normal size. But there's also like a couple of bright spots, which I'm assuming maybe it's becoming nightfall. It's hard to tell exactly. But it does seem like maybe we're going to get the night sky, which is great. Another question I have is, why can we see the sky? In the UCA area, you can't see the sky. That's a huge thing. The spiritualist talks about, like, the first time she sees the sky is when she basically, like, travels to the beach, as she calls it, and she says she sees the moon, which I'm so curious if the spiritualist emails and stuff will be important at all in this game or, like, be built upon. But it does seem like we see some stars, and we obviously see the normal-sized moon in the background.
So you have to take care of Lou too.
All right. So that was the end of the intro and kind of breaking it down. I am going to move on to some other parts in the video. I hope you enjoyed this one. Just kind of breaking down what we saw, what we might be able to see in the background. One of the things we saw in the actual intro on Ellie Fanning's title card, which I thought was really cool, was the little jellyfish creatures. So I think it'd be fun if we see those. That's something I hope we see on our way to our bunker. And I'm curious if the title cards will show us the way to the bunker at all, but we shall see. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!